Hello, everyone, and welcome to another inspiring episode of Hanging Out for a Living, where we explore the transformative power of genuine connections and friendships in the business world. Today, we have a truly remarkable guest with us, Tony Wechsler, who's a speaker, trainer, and coach who's dedicated to helping burned out professionals reignite their passion for joy for life for their life. And with over 20 years of experience as an investigator, Tony has a unique perspective on human nature and the stresses that really come with demanding careers. He has since transitioned from a successful senior investigator to a coach who teaches others how to lead more fulfilling lives. Tony's journey is a real testament to the belief that we can all create a life where every day actually feels like a Friday. Get ready to be inspired as we dive into the conversation about breaking free from burnout and finding true fulfillment. Welcome, Tony.
Hi, Teresa. This is exciting to be here, and I just want to say that for those listening, I hope that you will enjoy the conversation, but that you'll take just one thing, one takeaway from this, because sometimes when we hear these discussions, we're like, "Oh, I need to take notes," and I love note takers. But if you can find just one thing to take away, I think that's how you change your life, because we do things one step at a time.
Exactly, one foot in front of the other, right? And we keep these conversations, folks, really authentic. I don't edit anything out. It's as it happens. That's how it gets recorded. And oftentimes I fall over my own mouth, as I just did earlier. So, as I said, we're keeping it really real. So, Tony, what do you say? We dive into our questions?
I'm always ready to dive in.
Excellent. With a cannonball splash, right?
Of
Um,
course.
of course. So, Tony, your background as an investigator is quite unique for a coach. Can you share how your experiences in that field shaped your understanding of stress and burnout and how they influenced your decision to become a coach?
Well, I got to go back to like 2019 and then into 2020 when I was doing the job. I was on the job. And as an investigator in the world today, it's a very high pressure situation. You have a lot of work to do. You're trying to break the cases. You're trying to um, basically catch the bad guys and help the good guys. But what was happening in the system was a lot of people were falling through the cracks, and it was getting very frustrating. Law enforcement has a very high burnout rate. In fact, the top four burnout professions are healthcare, anything in healthcare, even veterinary medicine. I think you and I had a discussion about that a while
We
back.
did.
It's one of the highest burnout rates in healthcare. But
Yeah.
I mean, working in hospitals now, the nurses with these crazy shifts, even doctors. So that's high, but law enforcement is number two, and then you have three and four, a close tie there would be like teaching
Yep.
and social work. So we've got these people, and one commonality that all these things have in that all these careers have in common are they're people who help people. They're committed to helping others.
Right.
So if you think about it, as an investigator, I was helping others by helping the community. So my transition to a coach, I get to help others in that area as well. And what had happened with me was as I was getting burned out and looking for something to do, and this is something that everyone listening should take note of. Find the things that you're doing right now already, and the things that you're good at that you seem to enjoy more. See, for me, when I was teaching other investigators and when I was giving seminars and giving talks, I've never been one of those people that have been afraid to stand up in front of people and talk. Oral reports in school, I loved. So, that's just me, that's my personality. But I found that I really enjoyed the teaching aspect and the training and the working with my other investigators, the investigators that were working under me, training them one on one. So really it was a very natural transition into coaching. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And you pointed to a time frame of 2019, 2020. So back then in 2020, let's say, you were at that point where you wanted something more, right? Despite
Yes.
being successful in your career. So, was there like a pivotal moment or like, we say an aha moment or a realization that drove you to make such a significant change in your life?
At that point, well, I'll rewind to 2019. I was planning to start a sales training business, and I still do a little bit of that because the hardest sale you'll ever make, Teresa, is when you have the bad guy in front of you and you need them to confess, a
Ah,
confession, because you have to convince them that it's in their best interests to tell the truth, and but to not only tell the truth, but you have to hand them that pen and they have to sign the confession. And if you can do that, and if you can teach other people to do that, then how much harder is it going to be to teach somebody how to sell a car, how to sell insurance? So a lot of those things and those techniques and those methods that we used in getting the confessions can really translate easily to sales. So 2019, I'm planning to start this side business. I was already doing a side business as a private investigator. I had that license for many years too. And again, I was getting burned out of just that negativity in the world. So now fast forward to 2020, and I was getting ready to launch this sales training business. What happened in 2020? I don't even know if we can say it. It's that C word.
oh, that
COVID.
one. Hmm.
COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes out. Hopefully, the YouTube gods won't like throw us off the air for saying it. But anyway, um, that happened, and now my evenings when I was going to go out to try to pitch this business, I couldn't go knock on doors. I couldn't go to the car dealerships, the insurance agencies. So what am I going to do? So what I did was I had all the time in the world at night, so I got training and I found a mentor. Now, you've heard of Warren Buffett, right? One of
I
the
sure
most
have. Hmm.
successful investigators in the world. Warren Buffett said when asked what was the best investment you ever made out of all the investments in your life, and everyone's thinking he's going to name a company that he invested in, but no, he said, I invested in myself. The best investment anyone will ever make is investing in yourself. And a lot of people are a little fearful about that because they don't want to spend the money because they don't want to invest, but invest in yourself, whether it's taking courses, whether it's working with a coach one-on-one, just get out there. So that's what I did and found out that coaching was something that was I was really aligned with. And I said, all right, well, I'm going to start this business. And while all the craziness was going on in 2020, and I think what really happened for me, Teresa, is on a bunch of cases that we had done, they were let, the bad guys were let go like pretty quickly by the judge. And a lot of cases were getting overturned on these crazy technicalities. And I just got frustrated with the way the system works. I mean, we see that today with the
Yeah,
crime right now. I mean, the law enforcement is finding the bad guys and they're arresting them. They're going into court, and the judges are just giving them these appearance tickets and they're walking away free. And these aren't just people that shoplifted or did a small crime. I mean, these are people that are stealing cars. And for law enforcement, and people that are working and are trying to catch the bad guys, it's frustrating. It's
sure.
like trying to catch a fish, and just as you reel the fish in every time, someone reaches over and takes the fish off the hook and throws it back in the water. It's crazy.
Yep.
So
Catch and release. Yep.
that was the pivot point. And at that point, I said, all right, I'm going to start this business. And by the end of this year, by the end of 2020, I'm going to leave this life behind. I'm going to leave this job. Didn't quite make it. Goal setting is important, though, because if I hadn't set that goal, I kind of would have been wandering in the wilderness, for a little bit. But by February of 2021, I left. I was done, and I've been doing this full time ever since, and loving life completely.
So many golden nuggets there. For me, what stood out was work harder on yourself than you do on your business. And that has been something that's been in the forefront of my career and my entrepreneurial life. So, as I said, a lot of golden nuggets there, folks, and hope you're taking notes and maybe even rewind this and re-listen. So, let's move on to our third question. So, Tony, in your work with professionals from those high stress fields, like we talked about healthcare, you just talked about law enforcement and social work. What are some of the common signs of burnout that you've observed, and how do you help your clients address and overcome these challenges?
That's a great question. I'm going to give you some of the symptoms first, but I'm going to kind of wrap it up
Sure.
into one neat little package at the end and give you a tip. So we'll do it that way. I think that's probably the best way for people to get value out of this. So the first symptom that I see is like chronic exhaustion. It's just feeling tired all the time, no
Yeah.
matter how much rest you get. Then there's the lack of motivation where you just start losing interest in the activities and what you're doing. I mean, I was going to work and I was losing interest in the things I was doing. So the other thing is you become very irritable and frustrated all the time, easily agitated. You come home from work and you argue with the people around you love. And that's something that a lot of people do because when our bosses are telling us to do things, we can't argue with them because we don't want to get fired. So we go home and we have all this bent up energy inside of us
Sure.
and we take it out on those that we feel will take it better, those we love. Then there's some physical symptoms like headaches, muscle tension, digestive problems, illnesses. There's cognitive decline where all of a sudden you get that brain fog
Yeah.
and your memory, and you walk into the living room and into the kitchen, open up the refrigerator, and you forget what you were looking for. There's an emotional roller coaster that we're on, mood swings, that overwhelmed feeling, stress, overwhelm, and sometimes, like in healthcare, all of a sudden sadness and anxiety for no reason. For no reason. There's social withdrawal where we stay away from social interactions. We isolate ourselves. Then our productivity declines, so we're not able to complete all the tasks. So as you can see, this stuff piles up. So what you got to do, and what this all boils down to, is there are two things in life. There are the things we can control and the
Yep.
things we can't control. And we get burned out, stressed, and overwhelmed because we are trying so hard to control those things that we can't control that we lose sight of the things we can control. Does that make sense?
It does. It's so true. So true. Absolutely.
So one of the things that I will tell people to do is when they're faced with a situation, just ask yourself that question, simple question. Is this something that I can control? And if you can't control, then you got to make a decision because like I always say, everything starts in life with a decision. And you make that decision to say, okay, I'm going to take these things that I can control, that I cannot control, and think about what is one thing that I can do to take control of the overall situation.
Right.
So let me give you an example, and it's a silly example, but I'm not a fan of traffic.
Okay.
one of the one of the things I love about working remotely most of the time is I don't have to be out there in traffic. I do a lot of my coaching over Zoom, and I do travel on occasion, and I do go to outside meetings and I give talks. But for the most part, that's usually not during the rush hour, so I'm not out there. But when I am, it gets me so frustrated. So when you're in traffic and all of a sudden traffic gets backed up and you're going to be late to that important meeting that you're going to or wherever you're going to,
Sure.
but you can't control it. Think about something that you can control. So I like to listen to things like podcasts,
Okay.
books on tape, or tape, boy, that dates me,
Oh
doesn't
boy.
it? Audio books, and just sometimes I listen to YouTube videos, like something of listening to your show. Even though I can't actually watch it, you can still listen to it. So I listen to that on YouTube. So I'll listen to things that are feeding me
Hmm.
because we need to feed our mind every day. The two things we need to feed are our mind and our body. We need to give ourselves good, healthy things. We need to take care of our bodies, feed that, but then we need to feed our mind. And if we
So,
do that, so anyway, the point I'm getting at, ADD boy here, is there might be something on this audiobook that I need to listen to, that I need to hear. And if I wasn't stuck in this traffic, then I wouldn't hear it before I got to work. So that's one way where I've just taken that situation, I've reframed it, and I've taken control of it. And then the other thing is, I ask myself, well, I'm in this traffic, what can I do? Now, fortunately for now, I remember the days where talking on your cell phone when you're driving was definitely a no-no because you had to pick up that phone and
Oh, yeah.
hold it. But now we've got everything is hands-free. So if you've got a call that you can make, then do it. So do something while you're in that situation that you can control. Does that make sense?
It does, it does, and I love how you said the reframing part. Um, I grew up basically on the west side of town, right? And when I moved to the east side of Rochester, right, my daughter moved with me, my son was away in the military, single mom, etc. And, my whole sense of direction flipped, right? Because it was like, okay, this is really weird. And one time we got lost, and my daughter at that time, a young woman in her early 20s, talk about an old soul, and I was frustrated, right? And she goes, well, Mom, we could be lost, but this way we get to spend more time together.
Yes,
And that
I
was like,
love that.
bam, right? That was like my aha moment. And so now I take what you just shared and that experience, and it really has helped so much. So I hope it also helps our listeners and viewers today. And that was excellent. Thank you. And we'll dive into our very last question for Tony. I want to honor your time. So Tony, your philosophy centers on helping people create a life where every day feels like a Friday. Can you share some practical steps or strategies that individuals can start implementing today to begin their journey towards a more balanced and fulfilling life?
Well, I'm going to give you a formula, Teresa,
Ooh, okay.
for life, for business, for really really everything in life, and everything starts out with our thoughts and our emotions. So we start with the word think,
Mhm.
okay, and then we go to the next word is feel. The next word after that is act or do. And then the next word is have. So now let me translate that. So think. A lot of us think about things. We think about making a change. We think about taking an action. And for whatever reason, we don't act. Why don't we act? Well, because we don't get that second word, and that's feel. We don't get our emotions involved. So every time we get our emotions involved in something, that's what gets us to act. And it's the action, Teresa, that actually gets us to what we have. So if we want to set a goal, make a change in our life, we
Sure.
start with think about. But if we just think about it, it's not going to get us there. We get the emotions involved next. So again, we think, we feel, we act or do, and that's how we have. So if you know this formula, this is like a formula for success for anything in life. And the other thing that I would also add to that is start a gratitude practice in your life. Um, I have something that I call the 3x5 card method. And this is something I give to all my clients. I'm going to give it to you and those listening today. And it's a very simple way to jumpstart your life. And that is you buy those 3x5 index cards, that we used to use. Yeah, I like to do writing down pen to paper. So we take the cards at night. Yes, there you go.
I have it on my desk.
At night, I do too. Before you go to bed, you write down first three things that come to your mind that you're grateful for. Now, do they have to be big things like your house? They could be the birth of your children. They could be a favorite pet. They could just be the fact that you took a nice walk today, or you're sleeping in a comfortable bed inside in the summertime in air conditioning when a lot of people in the world aren't. So anything that you're grateful for, you think of three things, you write them down, one, two, three. Next, you flip that card over, and I usually say three to five things that you have to do the next day, and things that will move the needle forward. I'm not talking about getting the laundry done or cutting the lawn. Those are to-do list things. These are bigger things. You write down at 3 to 5 things that you're going to do. Circle the most important. So you've just downloaded those to paper. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, when you wake up, you won't be thinking about them because you've downloaded them on the paper. So now in the morning, here's what you do. You get up, you pick up that 3 by 5 card, and you spend at least 1 minute in each of those things that are that you're grateful for, and really think about that. Breathe and feel what you felt, see what you saw in those moments. Tony Robbins, who's one of my mentors, does something similar to this called priming every day. And that's where you really get in the moment. You get in that grateful state. The next thing you do is you flip over the card and you take that one thing on the list, the one most important thing, and then you imagine what it's going to be like when it's done after you've nailed it. And then after you do that, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to get up and you're going to do it. And don't check your email, don't let anything else get involved. And what you're going to find is, and then go through those next things on the list. You're going to find number one, you get more done. You're going to feel better because when we're in gratitude, it's hard to be anxious. It's hard to be upset. It's hard to be angry. When we're in gratitude, it's one of those high vibration emotions. So you can say a little prayer, which is one of the things that I do. Lord, I'm grateful for these things in my life. Just stay in gratitude, and that will help you and guide you through those burnout moments. And as far as living like every day is Friday, we talk a lot about work-life balance. Well, work-life balance is BS because you're going to, if you're trying to balance yourself, eventually you're going to fall.
True.
You have to get in alignment. You have to find work that's truly aligned with you as a person, and be willing to make that investment to try to find that. Because if you get up every day and you love your work, because Friday we have to go to work anyway.
Right.
Usually we work Monday through Friday, but we feel so much better. Why? Because the weekend's coming. We're going to get to do what we want to do. So how would it be if we got up every morning and got to do what we wanted to do? So if you want to break free from burnout in your life and live like every day's Friday, I think those are the key steps to make along the way.
I love it how choosing gratitude is the emotion to feel, because we can't feel more than one emotion at a time, right? So, as they say, choose wisely, right?
Yes.
Great golden nuggets there, Tony. Thank you. And thank you so much for sharing your incredible journey and insights with us today. Your passion for helping others reclaim their energy and joy. Wow, all I can say is inspiring, all in capital letters. For our listeners who are feeling the weight of burnout, or, if you're even just teetering on that and, you're not quite there yet and you don't want to get there and you're ready to make a change, I really encourage you to continue the conversation with Tony. Connect with him to explore how you can start living a life filled with passion and fulfillment, and how you can live life and not let life live you, really. So remember, the journey to a better life starts with one small step, and Tony's contact information is in the description of this interview or this video. So folks, until next time, keep on hanging out for a living. Tony, thank you again for spending time with us. Really appreciate you. And until next time, everybody, bye for now.
Bye-bye.